J Blush.
It's so hard to fake when everything I do is real. Honey and a doggy bag, I ain't missing no meals. Don't move on me wrong, I need to save my energy. Everybody, family, leave it to the industry. Heard a lot of noise, we ain't talking that way. We ain't moving like that, no way, no way. Heard a lot of noise, only positive vibes. I don't pay it no mind, I don't pay it no mind. Every day like my birthday, bring the cake in. Bring the cake in, bring the cake in.
All right, y'all. Y'all already know it's Mary J. Blige. Y'all know Mary J is the best to ever do it. Don't play. Good evening and welcome to another edition of Coffee with Tea. I am your host, the amazing Tei Street. I'm excited to bring you all this topic. Last week after I got off, y'all know I was going to sisterhood this week, and some of y'all came on and sent little emails to my agent asking, could we reschedule the therapist to come back? And I say, if y'all want that, that's what I'll do, because it's all about you, boo. Tonight, my mug, y'all know I collect coffee mugs. It says, "My music matters." Mary J. Blige is my favorite. And I got this at the National Museum of African American Music in Nashville when me and my girl Stephanie went down right after Thanksgiving. So I'm glad that you guys are here. This is such an important topic. Tonight, I decided this topic is so important. I wanted everybody on. I wanted people to have the opportunity to talk about a topic that sometimes communities of all races and all colors and all creeds are afraid to talk about, which is mental health. We don't want to talk about it because we're afraid that folks are going to give us side eye. We're afraid for a whole lot of reasons. And in some communities, there's even greater stigma that's affixed to mental illness and getting help. Y'all know that I'm always who I am. I'm always authentic. I always tell my truth, and I'm unapologetic. None of y'all pay bills for me, and so I don't really care what folks think. And so having said that, what I will say to you is most people know that for the last year and a half, my life has been crazy. After losing my mom, I thought I was like super woman, and in the summer I realized that I wasn't, and so I went seeking help, and all my friends are in therapy. All y'all know y'all in therapy. Don't play. So I started asking folks, who could I call? I'm like, y'all want a therapist on here? So folks started throwing me names out. And so I reached out to one of the names that came up a couple of times. She's right now kind of hot. All the young people are trying to bring her in and stuff. So tonight, welcome my guest, Dr. Maria Houston.
Good evening. Thank you. Listen, God is good, okay? To bring your name up in different rooms. Listen, it's a blessing.
It is a blessing. And he said, I'm going to bring it up everywhere. So we're going to get in tonight. Here's what I'm going to ask you. If you've got questions, you guys know the drill. Start to put it in the chat. Let me know what you're thinking. Let me know what questions you have. We're going to do a contest tonight because y'all know every now and then this is a month of love. And so I want to show y'all some love. I'm going to put it in the chat. There's a jot form that you can go on and fill out. And at the end of this session, I'm going to give away 2 tickets to the concert that has Brandy and Belle Biv DeVoe and all of them. I got 2 really good seats, and I'm going to give those seats away tonight. And then next week, I'm going to do 2 other prizes leading up to Valentine's Day and the Super Bowl. So glad that you're here. Dr. Maria, we're going to get started.
Wait, do I qualify for the tickets or no?
If you fill out the jot form, I'm an equal opportunity kind of girl.
Okay.
So tonight, I'm going to start by asking you and allowing you to really do most of the talking because of the seriousness of this topic and how many people are wanting this topic. With the focus, my series focus has been on renewing and rejuvenating your mind, your spirit, and your body. And so we've done the spirit and we've done the body. Talk to me about why it's so important for us as human beings to renew our minds.
Yes. So first and foremost, I would like to thank the amazing Tei Street just for the opportunity to come on her wonderful show. It is, a blessing and a privilege. I don't take these opportunities lightly. I see them as certainly a privilege, and I'm really humbled by them. So thank you, Tei, for bringing me on tonight. Yes. So, and thank you for everyone for tuning on. But why is it so important for us to rejuvenate and renew our minds? Because it's the vehicle that drives everything. If our mind is not right, we're not right. So, I mean, you can try to, take care of the outside and do all of that, but it really has to start from within. And so when your mental health is sort of out of whack, if you will, or unstable, you're going to see the impact of that in so many areas of your life. You're going to see it really manifest itself in your relationships, in your ability to be productive, just simply in your mood. So it really controls everything.
So basically, the mind really controls the body and the spirit and all that at the
Absolutely.
same time.
Absolutely. I mean, I know that's why they say some of the really even basic strategies or tools that you could use is just tap it into a healthier diet.
Nobody asked you to talk about diets.
I said it, I'm on that journey too.
Did y'all ask her to talk about we didn't ask her to talk about diets. That's what Felicia told us last week. We didn't ask you. Okay, we got you.
I know, but yeah, so it's all interconnected. It really is. So honestly, when the mind is fatigued, overloaded, and overwhelmed, it will start to impact your brain. You'll start to see you're having memory loss or, memory gaps. You're feeling extra fatigued. So it's so vital. I mean, I could go on and on, but you need your mental health to be healthy.
You do. You need mental health. So one of the reasons I want to bring you on tonight is because, and certainly not all of my audience is African American, but a large portion of it is. In our community, there seems to be a stigma that's attached and affixed to people seeking treatment for mental health. Why do you think that is? And what are some strategies that we as a community can do to normalize therapy?
Yep. Really good question. So I think it goes back to, historically, Black people. I seen a post the other day that, okay, it's February. We're going to stop saying people of color. We're going to say Black with a capital B. So I'm just following instructions. But, we've experienced so much racial trauma from, what Caucasian folks, internalized racism. And so the idea of, being traumatized and, oppressed by systems that are supposed to then turn around and treat us, people are very mistrusting, particularly in the Black community. It has been sort of the historic approach of taking everything to the altar or keeping it from the back door to the front door. So my family's from the South. And so it was like, you keep everything in its house. And so it's those mindsets, it's those practices and those beliefs that have been passed down for generations, to come. And so it's really going to take that person that's going to break that generational curse to say, no, this is not okay. I am actually going to get some professional help. And it doesn't make me any less than, it doesn't mean that something, is so wrong with me that I can't function or that I hate the C word, that I'm crazy. So there's a lot of, I think, historical, reasons for why so much stigma is attached to folks seeking help. But what I really like to focus on, and I love the part that you added to that question, is how can we get past this? And so I think we really have to break down the ignorance of it. And what I mean by that is more and more we become educated about it. So having these coffee with tea conversations to let people know the real, it helps people to feel a little bit more comfortable and confident to go out and seek the services that they need. But I want people to be informed. Ask those questions, right? What's your approach? How do you understand what I'm experiencing? what is your experience in working with someone who has anxiety or depression? And so it should not only be a good fit, for them, but it should absolutely be a good fit for you. And so you can interview them, you can try them out. I always like to say there's a lot of hairstylists, right?
Yes.
Right, hairstylists, barbers, and we don't play about our hairstylists, right? Once you find your good one, you stick. Even if she be like, I'm moving to Newark. Okay, girl, I'm a schedule. Right. But if I give you a recommendation for my girl and you go and you're like, doc, she was cool, but she really do my hair the way she twisted the way I want, like I'm used to. And that's okay. Because not everybody is supposed to be the best fit for everyone. So you got to figure out what works best for you. And so I think really getting educated on, okay, what are the symptoms? What are the signs? What is my level of tolerance? And how can I find the best fit for me?
I love that you segued for me. You started to talk about the symptoms and the signs. A lot of times, when we're not feeling our best, that's just a kind of a part of life. And so people kind of go, well, having up, down days, it's just a part of life. What are the signs and the symptoms that someone is not just feeling blue or feeling a little down, but might actually be experiencing depression?
Yeah. So a couple things. Time tells a tale. So you just mentioned it. We all have a couple days here and there. I always say I got to ride the wave sometimes, especially, when you're dealing with things like grief, because it can come in like a wave. Oh. Girl, yes, honey. But sometimes you got to ride that wave out, and then, joy comes in the morning. And you kind of keep it moving. But when you find yourself, and it's been extended periods of time, where your mood is not shifting, you are isolating more and more. Your thinking is becoming darker and darker over time. Then that is where I am begging you to be self-aware and to reach out or do the things that you need to do. So time, it's extended. And then the impact. So my stress tolerance might be very different from your stress tolerance, right? But we know the impact of it for us. So if you're someone who performs well and now you're not turning in things, you're not meeting deadlines, people that you used to have good relationships with, you find yourself distancing from them. And these symptoms that you're feeling is really taking a toll. It's impacting your daily functioning. Then you say, all right, this is not it. This is not, just a day or two of me, feeling down.
So give me some strategies. Give my audience some strategies. Let's see. I watch my girl. My people are important to me. I love my friends and my family, and my friends who are family.
Yes.
I see something that maybe they don't see. Maybe I see the time. That time is passing and they aren't better and they are not. It's not a short-term thing. How do you as a friend show up to encourage your friend that there might be some issues?
Yes, I love strategies. So
me too.
Yeah. So I actually came up with an acronym just for you. Oh. So, this is coffee with tea, but I'm not a big coffee drinker. I'm actually a tea drinker, and I'm drinking a little yogi tea right now. No judgment. No judgment. Judgment-free zone. So I'm drinking tea. I'm a tea drinker. So we're going to use tea. And I think you can use this for that friend that you're noticing some things. You can use this for yourself. So as that friend, I think we really have to get out of this belief that it's not my business.
Hmm.
I am here to tell you tonight on Coffee with the Amazing Tei Street, it is your business. It is our business. It is our community. It is our family that we need to ask those questions. And so sometimes just asking the question to say, have you noticed that you haven't showered or left the house in 7 whole days, sis? You know, but so we gotta get past that. But so my T for T is having them take a real break. Not these play breaks like, oh, I'm gonna just rest this weekend. Take an actual break. And if it's a friend or a family member that you're noticing, help them take that actual break. Like a real genuine break where they can relax. And so that may be, disconnecting from, I'm going to say it, social media. I mean, you want to come back in for T's shows on Wednesdays, that's fine. But that's fine. But really take a real break.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously everyone's situation is different. So, figure out what's feasible for you. But what does a real break look like? Because I think a lot of time what happens is, and why people don't notice that they are declining, is that I call these functional dysfunctions. They still get up, they go to work, they put clothes on, but they're just going through the motions. And so it's like, okay, what can we do to give you this break so that you can, in fact, re-engage, realign, and become rejuvenated? Then that E is externalize the external factors. So what I mean by that is, you've probably all heard, the phrase of control what you can control. So a lot of times we take on other people's stuff. We take on things that are outside of us, that are essentially external to us, and we internalize it. Right?
Give me an example.
Oh, a quick example that comes to my mind is a loved one is hurting. Maybe, and I know, and T, you and I have talked about it just offline before we got started, the suicide pandemic. And so say we have someone who, makes an attempt, or, and so we tend to take that on and say, I didn't do enough. Right? I should have. Well, maybe, but what can you do now? And knowing that you can't internalize those things, you can't take on that weight. And then the A, please, y'all, avoid multitasking. Just cut it out. Just stop it right now. I'm giving you full permission to put the other stuff down and just be fully present here right now, because multitasking is a lie. We are not that good at it. And it's not as helpful to us as we really think. It actually can really heighten stress and, make us actually be a lot less productive.
Gotcha.
So I think it's called monotasking. Focus on one task at a time.
And that's hard for ADHD people like myself, whose mind is always working. So I've got some questions coming in from the audience.
Okay, questions.
Earlier I asked the question, what are some barriers? Why don't people in our community seek therapy? Somebody said not enough Black therapists. But I'm gonna tell y'all, I threw a rock this summer and hit 15 Black therapists. My challenge was that I knew too many of them, and I'm not coming to folk I know because I might want to talk about y'all. So I'm just joking. My challenge wasn't that I couldn't find one. Mine was finding ones. We've got to press, I believe, we've got to press employers to include more Black therapists in their folks that are part of their insurance plan. Mm-hmm. I pay out of pocket for my therapist because my insurance company doesn't cover her, and I needed a Black female. And so I think that that's one of the things we have to do. I want to shout out a couple of the therapists that I see on here. I see mine on here. My therapist is on here. I see my friend Ray Sean is on here. I see my girl Stephanie Starks is on here, because Stephanie probably is the person I would have gone to if I didn't know her. But Stephanie know way too much. And besides, she's my car therapist. When we take trips, she's my car therapist.
You need
so
those
I do want to acknowledge that there are some therapists on here. I'm not naming mine because I don't want y'all filling up all the slots so I can't get in. Let me see. Somebody asked the question, do you recommend journaling?
Absolutely. Sometimes if that works for you, I say use that. Sometimes people get stuck with journaling. One way, if this is something new for you, start with gratitude journaling. And so that's just kind of identifying things that you really are grateful for. Or if you're like the ADHD people, identify what's priority. Mm-hmm. Right? What's priority for the day? Or reflecting on things that you did accomplish.
I'm laughing because when you were talking about multitasking, someone on YouTube said, as I sit here multitasking. Another question, my special Tarina Joanne Matthews Davis is asking is, how do you support your friends who say that their break, you said take a break, is staying to themselves and not talking, answering phones, emails, texts?
Great question. So you got to know your friends. You do. So I like to use myself as a tool a lot of times. So sometimes I don't practice what I preach. Judge your aunties. It's fine. No. But my friends know that I first have to process it myself. And so I have to kind of take that time and to be alone and, think it through and then kind of come back. But I will be the one to kind of reach out to them. And they know that. But I've communicated that prior to those moments. And so I think it's having those vulnerable conversations prior to those days with your girlfriends, with your tight, close ones, right? Knowing what's typically, how do they cope with stress, disappointment and sadness. Now, if you know that they are typically, this person that will isolate for a long time, continue checking in because they see it. They do. And then, keep checking in. And then when they give you that window, jump on it.
That's good. Keep checking in though. A couple of weeks ago, I was having, I was going through a grief cycle, like severe, like traumatizing kind of grief. And my special, she said, I don't want to overstep and I don't want to be a bugaboo, but I do want to make sure that you're good. How often should I check on you? And I was like, oh, that's a good question. And so she said, do I need to call or is it text sufficient? Just kind of filling me out to know, because most people know that I love to go by myself and never come out. Most folks don't see me for months on end. But and I appreciated that strategy of knowing me well enough to know that sometimes I don't want to be bothered. And it's not because I'm, in a state. It's just, I just don't want to be bothered. And so I appreciated that. We have a question. How do you help with a friend who is dealing with grief?
Grief is a very tough thing. I know this not only professionally, but personally. So how you help a person with grief is you can first start by asking them. Kind of what you said your friend did for you, T. Asking them, how can I support you during this process? during this journey. And the one thing, so I have a couple therapist friends myself. And so she said to me, when I lost my father, she said, we were in our program together and we called each other like Sibs. And so she's like, Sib, I just want, initially, she reached out and then she said, I want to let you know that I won't call you or anything in the very beginning. She's like, but that day when the dust settles, when it's a regular Wednesday at 11:38, I'm going to reach out. And so that was so powerful for me. And, you identify who your go-tos are in those moments, because everyone is going to have a different way in terms of how they want to support you. And so I think the person is appreciative of it, but I think a lot of times with grief, our friends and our family, they feel like they don't know what to do, how to respond, what to say. Let me tell you tonight, there's nothing you can say that will make it all better. But what you can do is just be genuinely supportive in the way that's authentic to you. So again, if you're a friend that bakes, bake something. If you're that friend that's like, girl, we do brunch. Let's do brunch when you're feeling up to it. Right. And, but ask them how can I support you? But I think also realizing that it's an ebb and flow, that sometimes it's okay and other times it's not. It'll be years down the road and, they break down crying. And again, it's just, how can I support you?
I appreciate that. How can I support you? Because the way that people grieve is different. One of the things I'm learning on my journey is, there are ebbs and flows. There are days, like in the early days, everything was a trigger. Mm-hmm. I think I told people this one day. I was walking in, it was like second month in, and I was in Macy's at Easton, and I was walking in, and this lady passed me, and I smelled Chanel. And I looked at her and I said, "Excuse me, are you wearing Chanel?" And she said, "I am." Y'all, I ended up in a fetal position on the floor. They had to call the ICEs in my phone because I was devastated because she smelled like my mom and I lost it. And who would have thought that perfume would be a trigger that would take a grown woman who thinks she's hard and cool and cold, on the floor in a fetal position, wanting to suck my thumb, telling me I want my mama. And so that process is, I love that you said, ask people. Sometimes we insert ourselves.
And you don't have to. I had a girlfriend, I was down and I think there was a memory that came up about my dad. And she asked me, she said, she really left it up to me. And I appreciate it. She said, "Do you want to talk about him right now? Or do you not want to?" And I thought about it like, well, yeah, I do. And that was good for me. But just ask. Just
how do you know you ask? Y'all see, I'm having a moment. I had to come out some clothes, y'all. I'm having a moment.
Right, I'm over here all bundled up.
Yeah, I had to come out some clothes, y'all know. One of the questions that someone had is, what would you say to your patient who becomes upset when a family member or a friend calls because they are concerned about their safety and they are ultimately admitted?
Wait, say that one more time.
What would you say to you? I'm reading it directly to your patient who becomes upset when a family member or a friend calls because they are concerned about their safety and they are ultimately admitted. So basically somebody called and somebody got admitted and now they're mad at them.
And what would I say to the patient?
Yep.
Well,
and I would add, what would you say to the person that they're mad at? I would say both.
Yeah. Well, off the record, I'll be like, well, be glad somebody care about you. No, I'm just saying. No, I would kind of talk with the patient about, why do you think they called?
Yeah.
You know, if you had to think of something that sort of gave them the ideas that this is something that you need, what do you think it is? So I would kind of help them try to see it from a different perspective, that they weren't trying to control you or harm you, but what is it that, was showing up that had them so concerned that you needed to be admitted? And then I would talk with the friend or the family member, and kind of be very open and honest with them to say the person initially may not see the benefit of it. And there may be a rupture in the rapport in your relationship, but not to give up on the relationship if it's one you value. And I'm assuming you do if got them admitted.
If you got them admitted, and don't give up on the relationship. But at the end of the day, I'd rather have them here and mad at me than not here.
Yep. But letting them know that they may be upset, but probably not for not for actually getting them to a safe place, but for them, the patient then was forced to realize that they were at a place where they were unsafe.
Okay. One of the things that is troubling me, and we have some moms on here, we have some dads on here. I'm looking at some of the folks. We have some aunties and uncles who just care about kids on here. We're seeing a spike, and I was just on a suicide prevention workshop the other day at work, and they confirmed that there is a rise and a spike in the African American community of suicides attempts and completions. Specifically, there's a rise among African American males 17 to 24. One, I want to ask you, what gives? Why are we seeing this? What do you think accounts for the increase? Back in the day, people used to say Black people don't kill themselves. There's a poem there's a prologue to a play called No Place to Be Somebody. And the prologue is called There's More to Being Black Than Meets the Eye by Charles Gordon. And he says, there's a line that says, being Black is having so many problems that the thought of suicide doesn't even enter your mind. That used to be the adage. But we had two young people right before Christmas, two African-American males, 19 years old, same day, complete suicide. The other day, got a call, one of my mentees who's away at college, got admitted to the hospital because he was having suicidal thoughts. What can we do, and why are we seeing that rise at this time?
Yeah. I would challenge that poem that was written, because I think, in fact, Black people have so many problems, are under so much stress, that usually when someone feels that bad, the number one sign, if you will, for individuals considering suicide or who have made attempts is hopelessness. Research from all institutions have confirmed that the idea of feeling hopeless, that this pain will not go away, that my circumstances will not change, I do not see a way out, that all hope is lost. So really, again, I would say to that poet or that author that, in fact, these young Black people are not seeing a way out of that emotional pain. The only option they are seeing is to not be here any longer. And I honestly believe that this is not a new trend. I think this is a spike that now has reached media and the attention of a lot of people. I think our young people have been suffering for quite a while. And that age group between 17 to 24 is so vital. For for a lot of people, that's the age range where you transition from an adolescent to a young adult. I've had clients where 17, 18, the idea is, you go off to college or, you work in whatever, but you can still stay in your parents' home. That was not an option. You 18, you got to go. Right? Because now the children's service is not going to come looking for me or any of that. So now you got an 18-year-old out there with very limited life skills trying to figure it out. And we know couch surfing is a thing and everything else, drugs and alcohol. And the trauma that they experienced was never addressed. But it's like, oh, you're 18. You can leave now. You're no longer my responsibility. So it's that transitional period that is just so important for anyone. And the reason why we're seeing our males, our boys, committing suicide at a much higher rate is that, again, going back to the research, is that males in general use more lethal measures versus our girls.
So in other words, y'all, the girls might try pills. You can pump a stomach if you get to them in time. Our boys are using guns, much more lethal methods of completing suicide. Just going to take a break real quick. If you have not already filled out the JOT form because you want to enter to win those 2 tickets, by the way, y'all, they are on the floor. They are row P. Seats 1 and 2. You can get down there and take a photo. These seats are so good. So if you want to enter, I put the JOT form in both the comments on Facebook, but also on YouTube. I saw them coming in. My agent just texted me and said, am I supposed to choose who does this? I told her to put them in a hat and draw, because I'm not even going to look at it. It's not coming to me. But we are going to do it in a little bit. But I want to transition back and ask this question. Some of what keeps communities, and I'm learning that this is true not just in African American communities. As I'm talking to all my white friends, they're having the same, who are Christians, they're having the same kind of conversations, where folks aren't seeking treatment because we got church folk and pastors telling people that if they just trusted Jesus, their minds would be right, because the Bible says he will keep you in perfect peace, those whose mind is stayed on him. And so they're discouraged from seeking treatment. Can you address this notion that you can love Jesus and see a therapist simultaneously? You can ask God to heal, but you can also seek treatment just like you would for your body. Can you address that?
Yeah, absolutely. Again, this has been a topic, a hot topic. And I think, and I'm appreciative that so, many pastors, and evangelists and, other ministers are becoming educated and aware that mental health is a real thing. And that it certainly goes beyond the altar, the 4 walls of church. Yep. So I'm very appreciative of that. And I think, again, that's just that knowledge piece that more and more people are gaining. But, I don't, want to kind of repeat myself, but, again, historically, and especially in some denominations, it's kind of like they read it a certain way, right? You can go, anybody can, you can go into the word and kind of find sort of your evidence. Well, I can go in the word and find some evidence too, because he talks about anxiety quite a bit. And so,
yep.
So, it's one of those things that I, as a true believer, and a woman of faith, I believe that God has given us tools and strategies to deal with this thing called life. And one of those tools is, in fact, therapy. One of those tools is medicine. one of those tools, is relaxation, rest. So these are all things that we can fight the warfare with. I don't believe that God has said, oh, no, you can only use these tools in this box. Right?
Mm-hmm.
I think he has made all of these things available to us, and why wouldn't we use them? He's saying, I'm making them available to you. I think it's really, and I think people, even our believers, have to be real. It's not the word, and it's not the church, and it's certainly not my God that is saying, don't go to therapy. It's people and their opinions and their own belief systems.
I agree. We're nearing the end, but one, I wanted you to share a couple of resources with folks, places that they can get help if they're in crisis. Certainly, I want you to share your contact information. I see a couple of therapists on. There was a comment in here. I love Dr. Cynthia Tyson. She said, absolutely, when we were talking about the history of Black folks and suicide, she said, Black people, unfortunately, did die by suicide. We didn't talk about it, and the medical professions did not document it. Now we have split second reporting, and information is shared often before the family can even share it. Y'all, stop it. Stop it. You do not have the right to go on social media and sit and share someone else's pain. You don't get that opportunity. Y'all want to set me off. Stop telling other people's stories before you give them an opportunity. And they may never opt to share it. And that's their right. And that's their business. If they don't want to share it, you can share anything you want to about your life. You don't get to share other people's tragedies for them. Give people the opportunity to grieve the way they want to grieve. Y'all can tell that's my issue. Rayshawn said faith without works is dead. When we talk about you can do both, because y'all know if you got a diagnosis of another kind of disease, you would be showing up at the medical doctor. Well, the brain and the mind is a part of the body. Why wouldn't you also seek the kind of treatment that you need for your mind in the same way that you would do it for the other parts of your body? I know I'm unapologetic in telling y'all that, yeah. And it's not my first time around the therapy train, because every now and then you just need a tune-up.
Right.
You had a disease and the doctor wants you to come back for a checkup. So, just don't be ashamed. I also wanted to share, someone earlier asked about grief. I wanted to share a resource with you that has been super, super helpful to me. There's a book that's called How to Carry What Can't Be Fixed. It's a journal for grief, and it's by Megan Devine. I got this as a gift when my mom died, and it has been, you talk about a great companion for me on this journey. There's opportunity to draw and to do art and to do projects and to write and to journal and to think and to do those things in this book. And I've given it to a few of my friends as well. I wanted to share that as a resource. Shout out to my friend, Dr. Cynthia Tyson, who gifted me that when my mom took her transition to glory. So Dr. Maria, what you got for us?
Yes. So, I mean, if you guys going to be on social media, use your social media platforms, to find, there's therapy for Black people, women, things like that. We talked about suicide. So if you go to, the Suicide Prevention Lifeline, you can actually text someone there. Or call. It's 24 hours. And if you're a concerned family member or friend, you can call the non-emergency 911 line and let them know. They do have a department of sort of trained officers to go do the wellness checks that are, trained in basic mental health to kind of go and check on your loved one. But if you have any other questions or you just want to hit me up, you can certainly do so. My website is thedrmaria.com. My email address is hello@thedrmaria.com. And my phone number, which I don't know if people use or call anymore, but I do have a phone line that's 614-721-5988. So the best way.
I'm going to put it in give me the phone number first, and then I'm going to put that in the chat so it'll be on both, and then give me the email, your website again.
Yes, ma'am. Phone number is area code 614-721-5988.
Okay, give me the website.
The website is THEDR Maria. So thedrmaria.com. And that,
Gotcha. And your email is hello@thedrmaria.com.
yes, ma'am.
If there are other therapists on who want to drop their stuff in the chat, so people who are looking, you might be looking for a male, you might be looking for another Black female, you might be looking, because so I heard Dr. Maria say earlier, don't be afraid to shop around, interview your therapist, find the one that works for you. And so we want to make sure that if you are on and you are a therapist, I saw a couple on earlier, that you drop your contact information in there as well, so that people can interview you and see if you work out for them. I am going to, in a second, go on and ask Regina to send me who she pulled for the tickets tonight. I'm going to be doing some stuff. There's a question, though. Danielle asked the question on YouTube. Is someone that is carrying hurt from betrayal, abuse, or divorce expected to get over it within a certain time period?
Heck no. No, there is no time frame or time limit on healing. And it's actually not very fluid. I mean, it can be a roller coaster at times. So no, that you're not expected to be over it or to deal with it by a certain period of time. I will say this, though. Your feelings aren't a choice. Feelings are natural. Feelings come. But your actions or behaviors and your thoughts, how you think about those experiences, those things that happen to you, what you do to try to cope with those things are your choice.
Appreciate that. I want to read to you some of the comments, and then there's a question. One of the comments, this is so insightful. There are so many real takeaways. Someone said it boils down to stigma, and someone else said depression can be just as lethal as cancer. Carla asked the question, is there an age where you feel that talking about suicide is too young?
No, because I've seen young people as early as 5, 6 years old. They don't fully understand the full concept just because their brains aren't fully developed to have that level of abstract thinking. But kids are very impressionable. So you may hear them say things like, I'm going to kill myself. And so you want to correct them, or not necessarily correct them, but you want to provide a space to have them talk about that.
Yeah.
And so a lot of kids that I've worked with who have said that, they'll say, oh, I was just mad, or I heard someone say that, and so helping them to identify other ways to express their emotions and how they're feeling in a much more productive way. But it is never too early to have those conversations, because they're going to have them anyways with someone, and you rather it be you.
Ooh, you don't want other folks giving your kids that information.
No, or other kids.
Your therapist.
Right. Or other kids that got it from who knows where. So have those conversations. Don't be afraid, anyone.
Rayshawn reminds us that Psychology Today is a great site to find therapists, and he's correct. You can go on and you can put in some of the filters like African American female, African American male. Christina says this topic is so important. Charity says, thank you, amazing Tei Street and Dr. Maria Houston. I appreciate the conversation. Karen says we need to normalize this topic. And Karen, I agree with you, which is why I decided to tackle it and bring it on. I'm going to hopefully bring other folks on to talk about this topic. I don't think that we can talk too much about this topic. We've come through a pandemic. We're now entering, what are they calling it now? An epidemic. But we came through a pandemic, and our kids are not okay, our families are not okay, and it's okay. I hate y'all know I posted it the other day. You got to do more than post little memes that say it's okay to not be okay. Don't trivialize it with just, and it is okay, but sometimes all we want to do is put the little post up there that says it's okay to not be okay. Help people to figure out the strategies for how to not be okay and get help so that they can be okay. Dr. Maria, I thank you for coming on. I am going to draw. Georgina, please send me in a text who I'm supposed to tell they won these tickets so I can send it to them so they don't have my head tonight. If you all will come back on next week, I promise you that I have two more things I'm going to give away next week. We got good prizes going on. I really want to bless you in the month of February. Patti LaBelle sings a song, "When You've Been Blessed, Pass It On." Let me see what she just sent me. She sent me a text. I didn't even know. Oh, yes, I did, because I just asked one of her questions. And the winner tonight of the 2 tickets is Carla Porter. Woo! So, Carla, I will get with you and get these tickets to you because I have the electronic version. You can put them on your phone and just go to the concert next week. They are great seats. I'm super excited to be able to gift them to you tonight. Next week, we're going to do the same thing. Next week, our topic is on looking at our physical health and strategies for addressing our health challenges in the African American community specifically. We have Brendan Chapman, who is community health worker for the Columbus Health Department. He's going to give you his title because I just butchered it. I know that's not his title, but he's going to come on from the Columbus Health Department and really talk to us about some strategies. Everybody that's coming on, if you notice, I'm asking them to give you strategies. Don't talk philosophically to my audience. Tell us what we can do. He's going to give us some strategies for addressing some of our physical health things that are taking our lives way too soon. I'm in that category. So I'm excited to have Brendan on next week. Dr. Maria, thank you so much. Her information is in the chat if you are looking for a therapist. And as I said, some of the other therapists who are on here, if you're still on, by all means, drop your information in the chat as well, and so that people can access the help that we need as a community. I'm going to close tonight with an Audre Lorde poem that I believe to the core of my soul about why we all as a community have to come together and address the tough issues. It says, "We have chosen each other and the edge of each other's battles. The war is the same. If we lose, someday our blood will congeal upon a dead planet. But if we win, there is no telling, for we seek beyond history for a new and more possible meeting." We're going to meet each other on the finish line, and we're going to get through this race of life together. We're going to do it by getting the physical, the mental, and the spiritual help that we need. You guys, thank you, Dr. Maria. I'm the amazing Tei Street. You all know that I always close by saying there is absolutely positively nothing amazing in me that's not in each and every one of you. I charge and challenge you to walk in your own amazing. Thank you so much, everybody. Have a great evening. Dr. Maria, if you'll just stay on for 1 second.
Sure. Thank you, everyone.
Good night, everybody.
Bye-bye.